How about it?
Hey, how you doing, Max?
You doing
Ready to
good?
talk some Planet of the Apes TV series?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Planet of the Apes. Wow, is that a wild show?
Well, I'm Rich Hurley, also known as Dr. Durant of Dr. Durant Sanctum. I have a YouTube channel where we talk about all cool things from the 60s, 70s, and beyond, comic books, toys, etc. And with us tonight, or this morning, or whenever you're listening to this, is
Well,
Lou Miligrana, or Max Overnighter. Actually, I'm going to do Max's. Max Overnighter. Max Overnighter, also known as Maximus Overnightus. Aficionado a la Batman and all things vintage, if you will. Max can be found doing all kinds of live videos all the time, 24/7 on the Max channel.
I'll do Lou's. Beware the beast, Lou, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport or lust or greed. He will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him, drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death.
Spaceballs, there goes the planet.
wow. So Planet of the Apes.
The Planet of the Apes is my wheelhouse for sure. I mean, I've been a Planet of the Apes fan for as long as I can remember. I mean, this was, I think, for most of us, our Star Wars. And
Yeah, who doesn't love Planet of the Apes?
right,
Well,
and
my
I think it
sister.
still holds up. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually saw Planet of the Apes. The first Planet of the Apes I saw, I knew of Planet of the Apes because it was so probably because of this TV show, which was on when I was a kid. I knew of Planet of the Apes because of the cartoon series. They had a Saturday morning cartoon called Return to the Planet of the Apes. That was the first Planet of the Apes I saw. I mean, I had the comic books and the Migos, and as a matter of fact, the Planet of the Apes Migos were the first Migos I had. I got them when I think I was in first grade, and I think my dad got me the treehouse. I know he got me the treehouse, but I think it was the treehouse that came with all the apes in it because I remember having everything.
You mean
And
the
I
impossible to find ape
yeah,
treehouse with all the apes in it? Yeah, I had the treehouse, but I didn't have all the stuff in it.
because I had Dr. Zaius, Cornelius, the astronaut, the soldier ape. The only one I never had was Urko or Ursus growing up, and that was the one I wanted the most because that helmet was the coolest thing in the world, I thought.
They were very violent apes. You shouldn't play with them.
Yeah, and thing with those, I mean, people still to this day build the ape armies and all of that stuff, and
Yeah.
putting them on the horses, and it was just, I mean, it was so different than anything was on television, and it was just, I mean, 50s and 60s, it was, all about, space aliens and all of that. And, to think of this alternate world where apes are in charge and humans are slaves was just a totally different take from anything else. And it made it so terribly unique. And the makeup and all of that was involved in that show was just fantastic. It was very eye appealing, and it was it's not hard to see why that had such a cult following, and
Oh yeah.
it's just unbelievable.
And
Even
it
the
still
TV.
holds up to this day. That makeup, like it's like you can see that the thing they did with the makeup that was great was you can actually see the actors' emotions behind the makeup. I think they probably, you could always just feel who was behind that makeup. It didn't feel like someone was heavily made up that you couldn't tell who was back there. Roddy McDowell, you know, was fantastic in it. As I mean, he played every ape in all of them except for Beneath the Planet of the Apes. He was Cornelius and Caesar, and then Galen in the TV series.
Yeah, and the thing, I mean, I think the thing about that made it so good, and it was, we're not talking about just guys in monkey suits.
Right.
I mean, because I mean, where like you say, they could emote through that makeup because it was, fixtures, and there was so much emotion and humanity that you could see, even in some of the, the more violent apes. I mean, it was just incredible. That to see that.
70s. The
That
70s, right?
right.
That was some real makeup. There's no CGI in that stuff. I mean, even we were talking a little bit earlier about even where they were filming these things, right? So now it's a park, but what was it called? Ape City, Richard?
Ape City. You're talking about the old Fox Ranch, or the park where they used to film all the series and stuff like that.
California, that's really cool. It's amazing. I was watching a thing where they were showing how they literally went out and they grew corn to make the cornfield, and it took 2 years to get it growing. I mean, they weren't CGI-ing corn; they were growing it for real to get them to run through it. And you only really get one shot at that unless you go to the section of the corn once you knock the corn down. But it's really cool.
Well, the thing that was fascinating about the TV series is if you follow the lineage of the films, right? In the first film, all the men are primitive. Humans are just primitive animals. They're kept in zoos and stuff like that. And then you've got
cavemen,
mutants, and all this other stuff. And then, but in the TV series, everybody speaks, but man is just considered a lower class than apes.
Yes.
And so like all the characters, and you got to see this expansion of the ape world, because again they use the fugitive template. Galen and the astronauts are running all over the planet of the apes, trying to find a way for the astronauts to escape the planet of the apes, and they go to a different ape town every week and stuff like that. And I even remember one episode where you'd probably love this one, Lou, where there's sharks. Like there's like these ape fishermen and stuff like that, and they have like these sharks off the coast of like not Ape City, whatever town they're in or village they're in. It was really cool. I mean, what's cool in the Planet of the Apes and sharks?
Definitely nothing that's cool in that. I do remember one episode where I forget what it's called, but he's like it's like a father son, and they're like gladiators.
Oh yes.
And the son, I think the son's the guy that played Beastmaster or something, like Mark.
It's Mark Singer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, is that Mark Singer or whatever? But I mean, he was probably like 16 years old when they made it. And the other guy I recognized too, because he was in everything back then.
William Smith.
Yes.
He always plays like bikers and bad guys and tough guys and stuff.
That's the episode I remember. Or the one with was that the one with the horse race? No, that was the one with the horse. There was another one.
That's the Gladiators. You're right. It's the Gladiators with Mark Singer and William Smith. Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a good show. I mean, I used to watch that show with my father. That's the one thing I probably remember the most. I was very young, and I remember watching that show with my father. And what's funny? Like as I got older and I realized that, hey, that Planet of the Apes TV show, and then doing research, realizing they only made like 13 episodes or something. I mean, they didn't make that many. It
wasn't very successful for some reason. I mean, the movies had diminishing returns as they were coming out, but then they were pretty successful when they started to do whatchamacallit. They had done the marathons, the all-night marathons, marathons, and so that got everybody all excited about it. And so they did the TV series because they thought they could, get more out of this, to bleed this stone as much as possible, and it didn't do as well. And I think that's where Mego came in with the figures. Was they were really going after the TV series, and that's why they have the thing.
Yeah, and they actually, Planet of the Apes stuff is highly collectible now. I mean, everything. I had the little plastic cups, Planet of the Apes. I had a placemat with Planet of the Apes. I mean, that was a thing in the 70s. Everything was like a placemat. You get your name on it. Some crappy placemat with stuff and whatever. But I think the highly collectible, to me, it still blows me away, I guess, that it didn't succeed more than it did. And I remember being a kid, like as an adult, I'm like, wow, man, that show went on for years.
Yeah.
And it was just a very short-lived type thing. And but it was good. I mean, I thought that for TV, I thought they did a good job. I watched something about, Planet of the Apes and making of it. And they did say, I don't think it was the TV show. I think maybe it was one of the movies, but they said they got to one point where they were getting a little cheap on spending money. So instead of actually doing like the appendages like they were doing for Roddy McDowell and the guy who plays Ace and so on, they were just giving him like a rubber ape mask and sitting him up in the stands. And so when you look at him, you can tell it's a guy in a
You can see that in like Beneath, especially like in one of they all just have these open mouths. They're like, because it's like just rubber masks they threw over their heads.
I mean, but it was cool because the guy was it Mark Lennard, right? So he was he? Is it Urko? He was Urko.
Urko, right? Yeah. Right. Ursus was in the movies. He was basically you get them confused because they both have the cool helmet. Like that was there was nothing cooler than that. And that was the thing they created, like those glyphs on the helmet, like the whatever that was it ape language or what is it? Like
Simian? Max, was that Simian? You're a Simian expert in language, I think. is that Simian that we know?
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Mark Lennard, Spock's father.
Yeah, Spock's father. Yeah. I mean, they did such a nice that show. I really enjoy that show. I found a place on the web where you can stream them all. I watched them all again last year. You know, doing all that COVID stuff and watch them, and they're just I don't know, they're really good, and you can see why people have such an affinity towards them. You know, and over time, but it still blows me away they didn't do better back in those days.
That is because until you guys are talking about it, you know, I didn't realize that it was really not considered a huge success because, I mean, who hasn't, you know, I mean, hasn't heard of it, you know? I mean, you get other shows that are seem pretty crappy that, you know, 9-10 seasons and the Apes ran, you know, 13 episodes and that's it. You know, it's like, I mean, I think we would be remiss in talking about the Planet of the Apes without mentioning the iconic scene of the Statue of Liberty, right?
Yes,
right.
You know, and if that isn't just nailing it home for you, you know, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, those guys are out there friggin' like, I don't know if they trained to ride horses or they knew how to ride horses, but man, they were hustling on those things. They weren't doing any little walks. They were riding those friggin' things, chasing them through chasing everybody.
You know, I went to see the original Planet of the Apes on the big screen a few years ago when they brought it back to theaters. TCM brought it back to theaters, and it was I'd seen it so many times. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna be probably a little bored because I know this movie front to back.
Better in the theater, wasn't it?
I know, and I saw that. I was blown away seeing that on the big screen. I was riveted. It was amazing, and I've always loved the Apes film. And when the area that I grew up in, the two they always played in syndication that I saw all the time were Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I didn't get to see Beneath a lot. That was always the one I wanted to see with the mutants. So, but I mean, it was amazing. And I wanted to see the TV show as a kid, but my parents wouldn't let me stay up to see it. And I mean, I was just fascinated with Planet of the Apes. Still am to this day. It's the best, you know, sci-fi genre that's been out there for me, sci-fi type show. I really love it. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you said, Max, it's like, it lasted 13 episodes. Back then, we had so little to choose from. And anytime something came on, you just watch it just because you were like a fan of the genre. Like you'd watch Buck Rogers or you'd watch Logan's Run because you're like, I just want to see my type of stuff on TV. And they always failed. Like they never were successful.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I thought it was a great show. I loved it. It definitely brings memories back of being a kid. I mean, I searched it out. I remember I was going through Best Buy one day and I saw it on DVD years ago. I was like, I should buy that. And I'm like, it's too much. And I'll come back in another day. And as soon as I walked out of the store and went home the next morning, I got up, like, let me go back and get it. It was gone. I'm like, ugh. And then I searched for streaming so you could see it, you know, watch that stuff for free or whatever. But yeah, it's
you can get it on DVD still. I think I've got the box.
Yeah,
when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah,
mine was the main guy, one of the astronauts, James Naughton. You know who his brother is, right?
No, who's his brother?
David Naughton, American Werewolf in London.
Oh, really?
The song "Making It." You remember that song?
Oh my God! There's some Yeah,
Durant bringing us all the trivia.
Yeah, sometimes you come up with some shit, man. I don't even know how you come up with some of that stuff sometimes. That's unreal. That's absolutely unreal.
And again, it seems like, with 13 episodes, they're on once a week, and guys like you, that just planted themselves. They knew that Planet of the Apes was coming on, and that's where they were. And now we're so spoiled. Here we are talking about, well, I'm just going to go buy it. And it was, but that's the other part of it that makes it so weird, that that something is iconic. I mean, we see it as iconic, now, and that was so different from anything else that was on television at the time, that would not be, successful. And it wasn't like, hey, I'll wait for it to come out on cassette or something, or.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
What I love in the article is, if you read it, because there wasn't enough episodes to put into syndication, they chopped up the episodes and made like mini movies out of them. And these are the titles of the movies. There's Back to the Planet of the Apes, The Forgotten City of the Planet of the Apes, Treachery and Greed on the Planet of the Apes, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit on the Planet of the Apes, and Farewell to the Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
And then they said on some of them they would have, and you can find these on YouTube, because I found them a few years back, is in some of the syndication packages, they actually brought Roddy McDowall in, and they made him up as an old Galen. And so because the series never ended, so we don't know if the astronauts ever got off the planet.
That's true.
He just does something at the end. He's like sitting around a fire, and he's like, and just so you know, Burke and Verdon did finally find their way back home. He's like,
we don't have the money or support to do it, but we're gonna get them home. I remember the one episode where they're running through this like old town or something. They found like the giant supercomputer, like in the room, and it's so funny because they like the whole town is like whatever. And there's some little kid, I forget who he is. If I remember, I think he was a famous actor or whatever back in the day, but you just find this big giant supercomputer, and I'm sitting there going, I probably got more power in my watch than that whole giant computer that they're doing, and they're supposed to be in the future, and you're thinking like everything gets smaller and more powerful, and they make it bigger, gigantic.
Yeah, that was always the supercomputer would always talk like, "You are on the planet of the apes." They push it. How do we get back home? There is no way to get off the planet of the apes.
It's well, that was the same episode where Urko and was it Urko and Pete? I think those two got like Urko got hurt.
Pete? Is our name?
I mean, Urko got hurt, and what's his face? Jesus Christ, man! I'm like so exhausted.
Burke or Verdon?
Burke.
Burke. Yeah, it was Urko and Naughton. I know what you're talking about.
So Burke like saved him.
Yeah,
and it was like it was like he saved him. It was like, well, should he just let him die there or something, because he's always chasing him? But of course, he took the higher moral ground. He saved him and so on. And
I think it's got a great line there where he grabs like Urko and he's like, "You kill me, you kill yourself." Like,
exactly. That's really exactly
overacting. Yep. Like, it's like, we need to work together to get out of here.
That's exactly the one. But when they're in the room with the computer, it's like this big, beautiful. There's nothing else in it. It's just the supercomputer. So you have this big room with the supercomputer, and I'm like, some place to sit, there's a place to write, just the computer. So I guess you just stand there and stare at it all day, But yeah, there was some funny stuff. But it was a really good show. I mean, the actors in it were good. I thought they did a good job. I always thought the guy that played Alan Vernon, for some reason, he was always like the serious one, right? He was like the real serious one. The other guy was like always cracking the sarcasm, whatever. But no, it was a good show. Or the one where he got shot, and like Cornelius had to get the lady chimp doctor, to read the medical book on humans and convince her that it was real in order to help him or save him or something like that. I mean, there's crazy episodes. Yeah, I think I watched.
Looked like a version of Starsky and Hutch on Planet of the Apes to me.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That's actually funny you say that, because they almost kind of look like them. You know what I mean? It's like, you know.
I wonder if Mego just used the same. They should have just used the same head sculpts for Starsky and Hutch that they used for Burke and Verdon. You know.
That's right. I mean that's doable. I mean, they were big into figuring out how to use things and reuse them, which is that. But yeah, no, there's some of the favorites. I think I remember getting some Planet of the Apes figures from Mego as a kid. The treehouse I loved it till it broke. The friggin' thing kept snapping. But the thing that I loved about that more than anything else was the weapons table. When I was a kid, I didn't. But when I was a kid, I was 5 or 4 when I got. I didn't. I just know you have these plastic things on a table. I didn't realize until later that you assemble them and they actually make some kind of crossbow or something like that weapon, which was pretty neat. Because everything in Ape City would be made out of white plastic. Back in the day, you're gonna make a crossbow out of.
No, I remember the Forbidden Zone garage set was the one that I liked a lot. And everything I got I got that like secondhand at a garage sale or a white elephant sale. I had that, and then I think I had the mountain, the fortress.
Wow,
that was good. But didn't they make a playset that was it was basically repurposing the Bat Cave where it was kind of like Ape City, and they had the Statue of Liberty on it.
Wait, was that it? I thought that was the Action Jackson Lost Continent playset.
I think they did, but they made it an Apes playset, and they made it with I think they actually has the Statue of Liberty on it, and they have the table to perform the autopsies on the humans and stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic! That's what everybody needs. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, we hit our mark a little bit. We hit our mark a little bit later again. So
I could talk for hours on Planet of the Apes.
I know. Planet of the Apes, I know. We could go on forever.
Get the real guy talking about old stuff. I mean, what do you think's going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. The only thing we're missing is some beers and so on. But yeah, do we want to do any last comments or anything, and then do our sign-offs? Now that you guys are all professionals at it, so.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Just sitting back and so often we just throw up whatever topics and they just go all over the place. So
yes, they do.
To pick a topic and just shoot the breeze. It's fun.
Yeah, I love poring over these old issues of Starlog magazine because I used to always be looking at them in the drugstore or the comic book store or something like that because it was the only way to find out what movies were coming out and things along those lines. It's kind of interesting. You'll see things like certain directors are touted to direct something and then they never wind up doing that project or someone else wound up doing it. And of course, it's cool to read about, even this piece here was sort of a nostalgic piece on the TV series. It was written well after the TV series had already been canceled. And, now it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun to go through these and talk about this stuff. I could talk for hours on Planet of the Apes.
Absolutely. Definitely a good topic. And Rich, I'd like to commend you for using the drugstore reference. Cause today, I think if you use that, they would think you're going to the pot shop. There was going to the pharmacy. I'm like, you mean the drugstore? Like, you can't really say that. I'm okay. I can't say the drugstore.
We used to always call it the drugstore. I want to go to the drugstore and get
Five and Dime or that's
shoot down Rexall drugs.
Rexall,
yeah, exactly. Now it's the pharmacy. We don't put the word drugs anymore. But no, this is definitely fun. I think this is, like I said, like the last time, this is a topic we could just go on and on and on about. There's so many pieces you can go into. There's so many branches you can go out from this, and so much stuff to talk about. It's a lot of fun. It really is. So what are you guys promoting today?
Well, as usual, I've got the Dr. Durant's YouTube page, YouTube channel. We talk about old toys, old comic books. I showcase different things, talk about movies, things along those lines. I have done a couple of Planet of the Apes episodes. I plan on doing some more. I've got a ton of Planet of the Apes memorabilia here that I've got to show off. And, come by, see us on Dr. Durant's YouTube page. I've also got a Facebook page, a Facebook group too, Dr. Durant. Check us out. To quote or paraphrase Dr. Zayas, Look for it. You may like what you find.
Yeah, you're definitely going to like what you find over there at Dr. Durant's.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm Max Overnighter, and one of these days I'm going to be a big shot like you guys and put together a YouTube channel. But other than that, for right now, pretty much focus on. I do a lot of the Batman stuff and a lot of DC, but I kind of slip off into some other retro stuff. My things will be found usually on the Migo Like's Facebook group page. That's Migo Like on Facebook. Max Overnighter, and you'll see me every once in a while on the My Migo Like YouTube streams. And as a matter of fact, while we were doing this, I got hit up a message, somebody asking where did the live stream go? So
yeah, that's all fun stuff. I think I think Max, you're gonna wind up probably building another room, your dedicated Batman room. Now after all this reminiscing, you're already gearing up the cash to go searching for new stuff, and you're gonna need another room. You're gonna need a bigger room. You're gonna need a bigger room.
It's either you have too much stuff or not enough space, and it's of not enough space.
Is that not the truth? Well, I'm Lou Melagrana, and we get together on Facebook page Migo Like. We also get together here to talk. We have a webpage mymigolike.com that specializes in action figures and old costumes and play sets and things like that. To spark conversation, I think, is what they're for. And also YouTube channel of My Migo Like. And with that, this has definitely been fun. These two gentlemen are well worth checking their stuff out. Max, don't let him be shy. He does tons of lives on Facebook, tons of cool stuff to come up. And Dr. Durant or Rich Hurley has put together tons of videos. Very well put together, spends a considerable amount of time putting them together. And making sure he doesn't infringe on any musical rights, of course, at the same time. That's very important. Didn't you told me once you dressed up in one of your costumes and did one of your videos. Did you tell me that, or am I crazy?
Oh no,
you are crazy. That's for sure. But what did I dressed up in one of my costumes, and what did I do?
Did you get one of your costumes or vintage costumes and do a series? I don't know. Did you ever put on one of your costumes?
Yes, there's a bunch of short films on there that I make with one of my friends, Russell James. He actually was my original editor on Dr. Durant's Sanctum. We sort of he was one that gave me the suggestion to start it. He was sort of like during COVID, he was like, hey, you're always talking about your collection. I like to see some stuff, and I started showing it to him. And he's like, you should do a YouTube channel and talk about this stuff and stuff like that. And that's how it all started. So
yeah, I'm glad I wasn't too going crazy, but no, this has been a lot of fun. So we hope to get back and talk to you guys about some other stuff. And I think other than that, we're going to sign off.
It's a madhouse.
Damn you all to hell.